A bombshell new report suggests top intelligence officials may have been cooking the books on ISIS to make it seem like the war on terror was going a lot better than it actually was. A House Republican task force reveals government documents were manipulated to paint an unrealistically rosy picture of the U.S. fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. The investigation started when a Central Command whistleblower came forward last year. Meanwhile, Donald Trump fired up on the campaign trail, again calling out President Obama and Hillary Clinton for dragging their feet against radical Islamic terrorists.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. And I would say the co-founder would be crooked Hillary Clinton.
I call President Obama and Hillary Clinton the founders of ISIS. They're the founders. In fact, I think we'll give Hillary Clinton the, if you're on a sports team, most valuable player, MVP. You get the MVP award. ISIS will hand her the most valuable player award.
So how have the White House's policies impacted the growth of ISIS? Retired four-star General Jack Keane explains.
It is a fact that the administration's policies did contribute to the fact that we have ISIS as a reality. Walking away from Iraq certainly in 2011 and helping to create the stalemate in Syria as opposed to throwing our weight behind the Syrian moderates and toppling the regime. That gave ISIS the opportunity to form this safe haven in Syria, which has been so destructive because it's from the safe haven that everything that ISIS has been succeeding at comes from.
All right, Greg, you have a ton of notes there.
Yes, I don't even know
where do you want to start?
And you know what? The producers are telling me there's a Hillary supporter now climbing the Statue of Liberty. So we're going to throw it to Shep, and for the next hour, we're going to watch her climb it slowly.
Statue of Liberty or Planned Parenthood Midtown office?
I think that's only 2 floors. But look, you know what?
Don't forget the iced coffee.
No one has. Underestimating a threat has never led to victory.
Right.
And this administration is thrilled to overestimate certain threats. For example, climate change. There'll be a subtle fraction increase in Celsius. They will talk like that is the apocalypse. But when it comes to something in which there's an immediate threat, not Celsius, but ISIS, people are dying, they are saying, well, and we've heard it how it's been described. But the fact is, this is a personal ideological vendetta by President Obama. The fact is, he doesn't want to admit that the Republicans were right about ISIS and that they were right about staying in Iraq. And so instead, he's treating it like a sales report where they're puffing up the numbers. The only difference is people will die from this.
Kimberly, now we find out that CENTCOM may have been cooking the books, downplaying the threat of ISIS. I mean, you could almost say, and if you're the Obama administration, this whole JV thing where they miscalled that from the beginning, maybe it was because they were getting bad information.
Well, yeah, because shaping the information to say, in fact, that it's a JV team when it's not. I mean, there's a serious question there as to the ethics regarding a national security assessment and a fraud perpetrated on the American people. There should be serious concern about that. That affects the choices we make. It affects the troops. It affects their lives out on the line. It affects these very limited rules of engagement. They're very limiting that cause a lot of casualties in the theater and in the field. So all of this is part of a matrix and a web of our foreign policy and of our national security. And if you cannot trust the people in charge and also to keep our troops safe, we have a serious problem.
So if they're getting bad information because the books are cooked from the top down, allegedly, right? The top CENTCOM said, I need better numbers. I need this to look better. If they're getting bad information, as Kimberly points out, then you make bad decisions.
Well, remember
where to put security in Libyan consulates that are asking for it.
Yeah, this actually helps explain a few things. Remember, we've had several scenarios where the president on one day will say, JV team, or it's not that big a deal, where everything's okay, and then the very next day there will be testimony from an administration official who will contradict him. And we've done a lot of stories about that. This actually might help explain that if he was getting different information. And based on my experience, I think the President of the United States should always want to know what the worst case scenario is. I would say, tell me what do you think is the worst possible thing that could happen, and that's what I want to plan for. I also think that what Trump could have done today on that piece of it is to say, I will always tell it like it is. You say, America, the ones of you that like me, you say you like it, that I'll tell it like it is. And I will promise you this, I will always tell the military and our intelligence community that they can tell me exactly how it is. I will never try to sugarcoat what this terror threat is.
Great point, but that we're in it together.
This
You didn't
goes
do that, though.
This could go all the way to the upper echelons
Tomorrow,
of
maybe.
the Defense Department.
Yeah.
And maybe state, too.
I don't know about state. I think it's wishful thinking on somebody's part of this table. But look, CENTCOM, somebody did this. CENTCOM did this. It wasn't that they got instructions from the White House as far as we know. But look, Dana raises an excellent point. Donald Trump had a huge opportunity today to talk about exactly what Dana talked about. What did he do? He went out and said, oh, Barack Obama is the founder of ISIS. Hugh Hewitt, who's a very friendly interviewer to him, said, wait, let me clarify this for you. You mean he created a vacuum that allowed ISIS to flourish? And Donald Trump said, no, he's the founder of ISIS. I mean, again, he never misses an opportunity to step on his own message, to step on a message, as Dana pointed out, that could have been a great message for him.
Can we stay on this topic, though? That the fact that, well, no, I know, but the point being, wow, they were forced. The agency was forced to make the war on terror look like we were winning when we weren't.
Well, I don't know. Were they forced? Or did
No.
CENTCOM make this? No. CENTCOM made this decision, as far as we know today, on its own. I don't think anybody from the White House, there's any allegation at all that somebody from the Defense Department came down and told them to do
I'm
this.
not sure
Correct.
I'm pointing the finger at the White House. What difference does it make if the upper
the climate-
echelons... By the way, who is that at the top of CENTCOM?
Right now, I don't know.
During this period.
I'm not sure.
Ultimately, the answer to the Department of Defense, to the
Right.
Secretary of
The
Defense,
Secretary
though.
of Defense.
There's no evidence that the Secretary of Defense, under any circumstances,
Does it-
when it did this.
Does it scare you that if it did come down from the top, that Secretary of Defense or whoever's right underneath said, make this look better for me?
I think they were working backwards from a conclusion
Sure.
that they made prematurely. And the fact is, the less competent you are at something, the more you overestimate your competence. And we've seen this in a lot of different areas with President Obama and also with other candidates that are currently running, is that they boast. And studies show the people that boast are the people that are least competent and should not be boasting. And I think this was all based on a boast. And now they've figured out how do we fulfill the conclusions.
No, they said, can I throw it to you, they said they changed the data for they politicized the data.
Right, and so
Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine. And when is it okay to lie to the President of the United States, who's the commander-in-chief? I mean, my God, he has to have accurate information, or he's going to make all the wrong calls.
But he didn't want the accurate.
Well, this is another problem, right? I mean, so that's why Dana's point saying that Trump should say, look, will not happen in my administration. If you elect me President of the United States, I'm going to get the facts and I'm going to share them with you because we're a team together. And I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm going to make calls based on the real-time facts and evidence happening in that geopolitical theater.
It was all about one thing, telling the boss what the boss wanted to hear.
Well, it's a stroke.
This happens in corporations too, or just in America, where if say like you're the boss. I remember when I was the press secretary, these great assistant press secretaries, Carlton Carroll, Stuart Siciliano, name you, they were amazing. Nice. They never wanted to bring me bad news because they knew I already had a ton on my plate. So whenever they approached me, you never go to the boss and say, hey, everything's going great. You go in to say, I've got an issue. And they would always say, I'm sorry to bother you. And I never wanted them to have to say that. And you don't want that as president either. You don't want people to be concerned or afraid to bring you bad news, because that just leads to more problems.
We're making a bunch of assumptions here. We're making assumptions either that your implication is that somehow they were directed to do this, or that there was
that's what they said.
Well, no, actually, all this says is that CENTCOM has made the decision to do this. This is the only allegation.
Right, like a lone actor.
Right, this is a lone wolf situation. There wasn't that anybody at the White House or the Defense Department was telling CENTCOM to do this.
There were some, if I'm not mistaken, 50 people who believed that this was what they were supposed to do.
But then it wasn't coming from the White House. That accusation was that CENTCOM.
No one's suggesting it was the White House.
I think you guys agree, actually.
Well, we are agreeing. Let me take your analogy, and I think you're 100% right. It happens all the time in business, but the problem is when you're in business and you say, our sales in the southeast region are lagging.
Of paperclips.
Yeah, and all that happens is you don't send more salesmen down to the southeast, and you don't sell as much Coca-Cola.
Or how about your subprime mortgages are over-leveraged?
Not people are dying because we didn't send enough assets to an area.
A good business analogy is fudging analysis on a pharmaceutical
Right.
product.
That it's gonna work
Exactly.
That
better.
it's going to work better,
Like a
and
cancer
you
drug.
lower the side. You say there's not as many side effects, and it solved this problem. And it turns out there's more people dying, and then they have
Of
to
liver
recall
disease.
it.
Well, and that
and then the
happens all the
commercials
time.
are on our
So
network.
is there any legal implication of this?
You know, there could be. It depends. But I think you have to dig deeper on this to find out, like, remember who pushed the video? You know,
Yeah.
who pushed this idea? We say it's alone with one person that woke up and the alarm went off that morning and they said, all righty, I'm going to cook the books. Like, what is the basis for it? Just because you don't want to tell the president so he doesn't get mad, so what, you don't lose your job because things are really bad in the Mideast? I don't know.
Do we
This
have time
to me
to
seems
talk about the
crazy.
second part, though? The founding part? Donald Trump saying that
Sure.
that Obama. I think that on the Obama front, I don't think the founding is right, but I think all the other pieces could be lead to Obama's door. But on Hillary Clinton, I think the more effective argument would be that she was ignored by the president, that she was incompetent, she was not effective in getting her way, because she is on record, and it's corroborated by other people, that she did want to keep troops in Iraq for a longer period of time, and she did want to go up against Assad, and she was rebuffed.
But that's exactly my point. There are all sorts of things that you could say about this. And look,
Right.
you could easily, and I say this as a Democrat, you could easily say that conditions were made by this administration that allowed ISIS to flourish in places like Syria. Why this candidate cannot just stand that message and instead decides he's going to come up with some fantastical claim that then a friendly reporter tries to bail him out of, and he still steps on his own message.
But the thing is, it's a consistent issue with Trump, and the thing is, the best comparison was you had General Keane, come up and give
got
this
a great
incredibly cogent analysis of what everybody would understand. Yeah, that makes total sense. That the recent foreign policy blunders under President Obama has helped birth and then spread this toxic ISIS scourge on Earth. You don't, but that's not talk radio language. And Trump is the first talk radio language candidate. He speaks as though he's on a phone call. First time, long time listener, first time caller. I think Obama caused this. And then they go, tell me more.
I'll tell you what I'll do.
Listener, first-time
I'll have
caller.
him
So
call
true.
into the O'Reilly Factor tonight at 8 o'clock, and I'll ask him exactly
Oh,
that.
nice
You
team.
sure?
Phoning it in.
You sure you're phoning it in? You sure you want to go with founder, maybe something like, I don't know,
Definitely not a
enabler?
first-time caller into the O'Reilly Factor.
I think
And he's a
gonna
longtime
stick with
listener.
founder. He's going to
I'm
stick
going to
with
leave it right
founder.
there.